to commercial semen extender, used within 3 days storage period at 17 to 18 degrees storage temperature. For my recommendation, use of fresh coconut water from young green and mature brown coconut as semen extenders to maximize utilization of bore ejaculates. Optimum temperature at 17 to 18 degrees should be maintained inside the styrofoam box. The protocol in preparing coconut water should be strictly followed. IP registration and commercialization of the technology and further study to make the diluent into powder form for longer storage period and product innovation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Judith Amistad Elhera, for sharing with us your research paper as with the significant findings that coconut water is potentially a semen extender that measures through sperm cells motility, progressive motility, and viability. The coconut waters from green youngs and mature brown coconut can be an alternative to a commercial blower semen extender. So thank you so much for a uh, very good research paper that will beneficial by our by our small scale backyard animal raisers. So thank you so much. So let's move on to our next uh, research presenter from Southern Luzon State University. Uh, Southern Luzon State University, Philippines, who will be presenting her research paper entitled Level of Toxicity and Hypoglycemic Activity of Andrographis piniculata crude extract by Miss Sherry C. Favor. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning po.
Good day, everyone. I am Cherry Favor from Southern Luzon State University, Judge Guillermo Iglesias Cagayan, Quezon. On behalf of my co-authors, I am presenting to you our study titled Level of Toxicity and Hypoglycemic Activity of Andrographis Paniculata with Extra. For the outline of my presentation, I will start with the introduction, objectives, materials and methods, results and discussions, summary and conclusions, and finally present the implications and recommendations of our study. So for our introduction, Andrographis paniculata medicinal uses in Ayurvedic and Unani systems of medicines that shows therapeutic benefits in the Asian countries like India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Java, Malaysia, and Indonesia is known in the Philippines. So we would want to study a plant that is known to be called as the king of bitter because every part of this plant has an extreme bitter taste, a characteristics that is acquainted with a plant or a fruit that was proven to reduce blood sugar level, like the ampalaya or Momordia charantia. So the plant that we would study is an erect, branch, annual herbaceous plant which grows in hedgerows in almost all types of soil. But to ensure its well development, the moist, shady places and wastelands are much preferred to cultivate this plant. So it is in 2004, the Philippine Pharmacopoeia listed 30 priority crude plant drugs, which includes A. paniculata, which is locally known as Lada Lada, the Moro Sinta, and Serpentina, which is among those are found in the list. It is the component of A. paniculata, which is known as androglobulide, that is observed to lower glucose level in blood by increasing glucose utilization, acid insulin sensitivity, that shows a potential to be used as an alternative medicine for diabetes that makes it to be included in this list. The diabetes is a degenerative disease which is a major cause for death globally that is projected to have prevalence that would reach 366 million in 2030. The Philippines is included to those Asian countries with high prevalences of diabetes in 2018. And the gaining popularity and high demand of the alternative medicine in the Philippines indicates that plants and herbs can be useful to improve health conditions and discovering drugs which are plant-based can be made possible. So with this in mind, we come up with the objectives of our study to determine the hypoglycemic of Andrographis paniculata food extract in lowering the food glucose level of diabetically induced rats. And we would want also to find the toxicity level as its primary step in developing anti-diabetic or the anti-diabetic drugs for humans. So for the materials and methods, we use as experimental method in this study with two kinds of test animals for determining toxicity level and hypoglycemic activity by using its food extract. So as a protocol, since this is an experimental method with the use of animals, the laboratory animals that we will be using will secure necessary permits for its proper handling and testing. And for the hypoglycemic activity, we have three groups of animals with 10 albino rats weighing 131 to 199 grams are tested in varying level of crude extract of this paniculata with the induced alloxan diabetic rats. So for the toxicity level of a paniculata crude extract, we have used also three groups with 10 mice weighing 22 to 300, 22 to 34 grams with the method known as median lethal dose or the LD50 for the sampling of this toxicity level, which these are orally administered to these mice. And we have used another 10 mice, I rather 10 group of albino rats as a controlled group with is treated with insulin. So for the methodology, we have plant selection, drying and pulverization for the extraction, and animal management. And for the analysis, an interpretation of data utilizes percentage, pair sample test, ANOVA, to test significant difference and also the least significant difference, and the LD50 for toxicity level. So for the discussion, diabetic rats were administered with 0.10 ml kilogram insulin and the apaniculata food extract in 250, 550, and 750 milligrams per DL doses. And the blood glucose level were monitored after every first, second, and fourth hour of the day, and it was in a given period of 7 days of observation. So it is found out that it is the 500 milligram per kilogram dose of food extract that presents 50% decrease in blood glucose level among the diabetic rats. And for the paired sample test on the blood sugar level of the diabetic induced rats before and after the injection or dosing of the apaniculata crude extract, it is also the same dose with 500 milligrams per kilogram that shows a significant difference on the blood glucose level of the diabetic induced rats before and after taking it with the p-value equivalent to 0.06, less than the 0.05 level of significance. So this implies that it has a hypoglycemic activity on the blood glucose level of diabetic induced rats. So for the comparison of the reduced blood glucose level among the diabetic induced rats with the different doses of apaniculata food extract with insulin as the control variable, the higher value of P shows that there is no significant difference between the reduced blood glucose level of the different groups. So multiple comparison of the test of the different group using least significant group It is also the same dose that implies that a paniculata group extract has the same hypoglycemic activity with insulin in reducing the blood sugar level of the diabetic rats. So hence, this dose of a paniculata fruit extract can be used as an alternative hypoglycemic or insulin. So for the toxicity level, it is the dose with 12 grams per kilogram that shows a significant uh, result to have the least toxicity level because of the dose is the most acceptable since all of those mice in the group shows zero mortality. So for the summary and conclusions, based from the result at the 0.05 level of significance, there is a significant difference on the blood glucose level of the diabetic induced rats before and after taking the doses. However, there is a significant difference on the blood sugar level of diabetic induced rats before and after with the dose of 500 milligrams per kilogram of the extract administered to them. So therefore, a paniculata leaf or food extract at 12 kilograms, 12 grams per kilogram has the least toxicity level as manifested by the zero mortality rate. So this dose of 500 milligrams per kilogram dose of a paniculata can help in lowering the blood sugar level, and it is possible to consider the result of this study to develop plant-based drugs for diabetes, which is a cheaper alternative medications for managing the disease and further may prevent many life-threatening complications and non-compliance to treatment regimen of diabetes because of a high and expensive maintenance for buying drugs. So further tests on the chemical components of a paniculata fruit extract that would affect the hypoglycemic activity may be considered. So for future researchers, to conduct more researches on the extract of a paniculata leaves, to further study the activity of the extract, especially on the following areas: toxic component, hypolipidemia, and its antioxidant effects. And furthermore, collection and propagation of these plant materials is also recommended because of this shown hypoglycemic activity. And we would like to acknowledge, before we end our presentation, the personalities who made possible and contributed to make this noble work to become a success. So the Department of Science and Technology, the ITD, the Standards and Testing Division, for assisting us in conducting the toxicology and hypoglycemic test of our study. And of course, the Southern Luzon State University, our university, for funding this project. So these are the related literature we have used in the conduct of our study. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Miss Cherry C. Pablo. So, for the significant findings for study that androgaphis paniculata is a medical plant that can help in lowering blood glucose level, and the result of the study is to develop a plant-based drug for diabetes. Thank you, ma'am, for providing us this information. Sharing this. So let's move on to our third presenter from Marinduque State College, Philippines, who will be presenting the research paper titled Nipa Plantation and Bioethanol Production Amidst the COVID-19 Pandemic, a Potential Sustainable Livelihood for the Local Community Partners by Miss Duruin R. Mascareñas. Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning. This is Doreen R. Mascareñas, and my co-authors are Mr. Harvey Dulay, Mr. Wilson Paez, Ms. Raylene D. Malapad, and Ms. Desiree Ann Santo Domingo from the Marinduque State College, Buwak, Marinduque, Philippines. I'm going to present to you the paper entitled Nipa Plantation and Bioethanol Production Amidst the COVID-19 Pandemic, a potential sustainable livelihood for the local community partners. The year 2020 was a difficult year for the Philippines, with COVID-19 pandemic taking its foothold in the country. Marinduque, an island province south of Luzon, Philippines, was not spared from the impacts of the pandemic. The pandemic has disrupted the economic activity in the province, predominantly agriculture, due to the closing of the borders and the imposition of strict health protocols. The Marinduque State College was at the dilemma on whether to shelve or persist in the implementation of the NIPA Enhancement and Restoration Project to plant 75,000 NIPA seedlings in 60 hectares of open coastal areas because its inception phase was when the pandemic escalates. And at about the same period, Marinduque was experiencing a shortage of alcohol-based disinfectants as the demand was on the rise. MSC had to think and implement a project that will meet the needs of the community for it to be relevant. And MSC, as a state university college, had to respond to the CHED Advisory Number 2, dated 11th of March 2020, that directs all government agencies to render assistance and cooperation and to mobilize the necessary resources to undertake critical, urgent, and appropriate responses and measures in a timely manner to curtail and eliminate the COVID-19 threat. The decision to push through with the implementation of the projects amidst COVID-19 pandemic in progress was a calibrated move in the sense that actions taken had to be responsive and adaptive to the dynamic local COVID-19 epidemiological situation. The NIPA project may not be a direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but the project must proceed in order to pay forward today to a foreseeable need for bioethanol raw material in the future, and the need to mitigate climate change by improving our capacity to sequester greenhouse gases by increasing our NIPA stands. A delay will have a cascading effect in the future. A delay will have a cascading effect in the future. MSC persisted in proceeding with the NIPA enhancement and rehabilitation project and was able to meet the target number of seedlings and hectares planted by the end of 2020. As a state college, MSC is mandated to be relevant to the community needs because of the escalating needs for alcohol-based disinfectants with no immediate and sustainable solution offered by the government and private agencies in the province. MSC had to take an ambitious project to supply alcohol-based disinfectants to frontliners in the province. With support from the Commission on Higher Education and partner institution, Mariano Marcos State University, the project from a meager laboratory operation scaled up its production operation. So with basic distillation knowledge and meager laboratory equipment, the MSA embarked on a project to produce bioethanol from locally available NIPA and coconut stock. So our project timelines, we divided the project implementation into two periods, the pre-pandemic period and the during the COVID-19 pandemic period. So for the accomplishments for the NIPA, we were able to plant 10 NIPA stands, 60 hectares of NIPA stands in 10 barangays within 3 municipalities with a very, very high survival rate. So the project as an incentive to the participating fishermen or other members of their households were paid 9 pesos for every germinated seed They are able to care in the barangay nursery until they are ready for planting, and they receive additional 4 pesos per seedlings planted. So on the average, a participating individual can earn as much as 600 pesos per day with 10 to 50 individuals per planting day. So here are the project activities during the COVID-19 pandemic. We were able to organize the communities and build partnership with the local community. We have established nurseries and then planted the seedlings that we've grown from the nurseries. Now, for the accomplishments of the bioethanol, since the start of the scaled-up production in March 2021 and until early June 2021, the project have already exceeded its target of producing 600 liters of bioethanol. The project has distributed the product, hand sanitizers, to almost 2,000 frontliners, including Barangay Health Emergency Response Team, Philippine National Police, the CAFGO volunteers, and medical professionals. Individual frontliners are given 60 ml in convenient bottle dispensers. The officers are also provided with 320 to 500 ml dispensers and 4 liters of bioethanol to refill the dispensers. So here are some of the beneficiaries of the MSC's bioethanol. What are the important lessons that we've learned in the project implementation during this pandemic? Number one is we should not stop or deter implementing projects, especially those that are deemed essential for the foreseeable future. It is important to understand that the COVID-19 pandemic is not an overnight phenomenon, and it will linger for quite some time, and that adaptation to the new normal will, while the immediate need as a result of the pandemic will require a reorientation of the extension programs to be responsive to the pandemic. There are activities that will have to be implemented, as any delay will have cascading effect in the mitigation of the problems. That response require solutions to start on the immediate and will need some time to take effect. Example is the climate change response related activities and biodiversity conservation. And extension projects could still be implemented without disregarding the policies set by the IATF on the minimum protocol, as well as advisories for travel or border restrictions. Monitoring could be done using cell phone communication as an option, and coordinate the activities and has to be approved. The site visits have to be approved in the communities. The success of the implementation of the projects can also be attributed to the sensitivity of the project management team to the needs of the participating community members. And in our case, we have to maintain good relationship with partner institutions in the implementation of the project, and it is a must. In our case, the relationship with the Mariano Marcos State University cannot be understated. MMSU introduced to us the need and the potential in planting nipa in Marinduque, and then they have provided the distiller for the bioethanol production with virtual training and technical support in the operation of the distillers. So implementing projects in the new normal would need good internet connection to facilitate virtual real-time consultations with technical experts and other stakeholders. So for the conclusions, the NIPA project may not be a direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but the project needs to proceed now in order to pay forward for the foreseeable need for bioethanol raw material in the future, and the need to mitigate climate change by improving our capacity to sequester greenhouse gases by increasing our NIPA stands. A delay will have a cascading effect in the future. The bioethanol project, on the other hand, was not conceived with the only COVID-19 pandemic in mind. The COVID-19 pandemic has provided an opportunity on what is already in the pipeline to fast forward the development of the bioethanol industry in Marinduque. The bioethanol project also was a working model for the NIPA project operators to see for themselves the potential income they can get from the NIPA that they have planted 4 to 5 years from now. So for the acknowledgement, we are very grateful for the support given to us by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources on the NIPA project and the Commission on Higher Education and the Mariano Marcos State University in the implementation of our extraction of bioethanol project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Duruin R. Mascarenes, for sharing with us your research paper. So, with the significant findings that your research project in Marinduque and bioethanol production provided the community partners with additional income amidst a pandemic. So, for their Nanipa and coconut sap production. So, the meaningful implementation could be attributed to the strictly adherence to the government guidelines on the required minimum health protocol to the economic needs of the community member by providing just compensation for their efforts. So thank you so much, ma'am. Next, our fourth presenter from Vietnam National University of Agriculture, Vietnam, who will be presenting her research paper entitled Impact of Foreign Direct Investment on Agricultural Growth in Vietnam. So may I call in Miss Dong San Mai. Good morning, ma'am. Chào buổi sáng from
Yeah,
Philippines.
good morning.
Good
This
morning,
is Jong
ma'am.
Thanh Mai from the Vietnam National University of Agriculture. Yes, I'm so happy to see all of the.
I'm from Vietnam. Hi everyone, this is Dong Thanh Mai from Vietnam National University of Agriculture. Today I will present my topics. My topic is impact of foreign direct investments on agricultural growth in Vietnam. As we know, in 1987, Vietnam government launched the foreign investment law, which connected the Vietnam economy with the global environment, including foreign direct investments. And after more than 30 years of opening up, integration and reforming the business environments, Vietnam has become an attractive destination for foreign investors and has achieved rich results in the development from the FDI. Vietnam agriculture plays an important role in the economy and contributes 30.5% total GDP in 2012 and provide 45% employment for rural areas. However, FDI inflow in Vietnam only concentrated on some key fields such as manufacturing and processing, real estate business, accommodation, and food service. And the FDI in agriculture were limited, and the scans as well as capital of FDI projects were low, which are not fit with the Vietnam agricultural condition. And that is the reason I chose my topic. For my research, I will conduct in order to analyze the current state of FDI in Vietnam agriculture in recent years. And after that, I describe the current situation of agricultural growth in recent year. And finally, I want to find out the relationship between the FDI and agricultural growth in Vietnam during the 20 years. For the part 3 in my presentation year literature review,
From the another research, I also summary the definition of FDI, definition of agricultural growth, apply of the FDI in the globally and also in Vietnam. I also summary the role of FDI on agriculture. The first one, FDI could have raised agricultural land and labor productivity. The second one, FDI could have improved the marginal labor length, and the third one, FDI could reduce the cost for production and increase the agricultural export, also increase the farms' income, increase the agricultural infrastructure. And for the part 4 in my literature review, I also saw the relationship between FDI and agricultural growth in another study. Some studies said that it had a positive impact between two factors, but another side, some studies said that it had a negative effect between two factors. For my research, my topic use the secondary data from the FAO, from the United Nations, from the World Bank, from the General Statistics Office of Vietnam, and from the Vietnam Foreign Investment Agency. All of the time series data was my collect from the Vietnam DSO and Vietnam FAI. For the research analysis, I use the regression statistic and time series analysis methods. I also use the ordinary least square to estimate the economic determination effects of FDI in agricultural growth. From the table 2 on my slide, you can easily see some my expectation with some independent variable. I have 5 independent variables. That is the foreign investment in agricultural export growth rate, agricultural labor rate, exchange rate, interest rate. Some expectation I got from another study, and you can see on my slide. This is my research framework. You can see on my slide also. And for the part 5 in my presentation is a research finding. For the research finding, first of all, I want to show with all audience about the trend of agricultural FDI influence globally. From the figure 1 and figure 2, you can easily to see that although FDI increased sharply in developing economic area recently, especially in Asia, but FDI inflow to agriculture are still relatively low compared to other economic sectors, and most of them focus on a secondary agriculture. From the figure 3, we can see that in terms of the FDI flow to agriculture by south and destination, with the exception of Africa, a major characteristic of investment flow in the agriculture is that destination of large share of the investment flow are in the same region from where it oriented. And from the figure 4 on my slide, we can easily to see that the FDI inflow on agriculture in Vietnam has not been stable in such periods, and it increased sharply in 2008 and 2014, but decreased deeply in 2001, 2010, and 2012. So compared with other countries in the region and other economic sector, Vietnam agricultural FDI is quite low and small. From the table 3, we can easily to see that the ranks of the agricultural, forestry, and fishery contribute to the FDI is that 11th, and the registered FDI in Vietnam for the agriculture is 3.5 billion USD. It's just equal only 1% of total GDP. FDI in agriculture mainly focus on agricultural processing, with the rate is 64% in Vietnam. In terms of investment form, FDI project in the agriculture sector of the Vietnam mainly following the 3 forms The fourth one is 100% foreigner investment capital, and with the total number of project is 319. Second one is joint venture, and the third one is business cooperation contracts. Taiwan's British Virgin Island, Singapore, Hong Kong, Thailand are the biggest investor on agriculture in Vietnam. With the biggest partner in Vietnam is Taiwan, with more than 150 projects. And part three in my finding that the agricultural growth in Vietnam, from the figure 6, we can easily to say that the GDP growth rate of agricultural sector in the 20 year in Vietnam reached 3.27% per year, and lower than general growth rate of the Vietnam economy, and it's also unstable. And now we move to my main finding in my topic, that the impact of API on agricultural growth in Vietnam. Table 6 and Table 7 show the declaration of the variable value and correlation of the variable value. And Table 8 shows the regression analysis result. From the Table 6, we can easily to make the equation for agricultural growth. So we can see that the API contribute to agricultural growth with a very small coefficient. Interest rate and exchange rate have the minus number. It means they have the negative impact. Thus, only labor and export agricultural production have the positive impact on agricultural growth rate. So for my conclusions, I want to say that API inflow into the agricultural sector in Vietnam has not promoted sustainable growth for this sector during that period. And I make some solution for this problem, that the government should increase policy to encourage and enhance the attraction of API in the agricultural sector. The government should create trade policy for promotion of agricultural export to become a key factor in the increase of the API on agricultural Vietnam. And the government needs to invest to improve the quality of human resource for the agriculture. It is some the reference, and that is all of my presentation. Thanks for listening.
Cam Ong, Miss Dong Tan Mai, for sharing with us your research paper about foreign direct investment. So FDI has become a battlefield for emerging markets and play a vital role in economic growth, including the agricultural sector. So thank you so much, ma'am, for presenting your paper. So next presenter, our fifth paper presenter, from Abra State Institute of Sciences and Technology, Abra Philippines, will be presenting her research paper titled Guyabano Annona myricata Leaves as Alternative Dietary Cookies by Bershiba L. Taclawan. Ma'am, good morning.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be part of the second International Conference on Education, Environment, and Agriculture. I am Bershiba El Taclawan from Abra State Institute of Sciences and Technology, and I'm pleasure to present the study titled Goyabano, Annona muricata Leaves as Alternative Dietary Cookies. The coronavirus pandemic had a wide range of effects on people's lives. Life has been turned upside down as a result of the community's near moderation of this awful illness. Graviola trees are native to the Philippines and South America. The tree produces various medicinal herbs, including goyabano. The tree's bark, leaves, roots, fruit, and seeds have all been used for medicinal purposes throughout history. Guyabano leaves have a lot of vitamin C and fiber in them. Cookies are a long-loved treat characterized as a flat, small cake that has been around for thousands of years. To protect the body from diseases like COVID-19, the researchers proposed making dietary cookies out of the leaves of the Goyabano plant. This study aimed to make dietary cookies out of Goyabano leaves. Specifically, this study aimed to answer the following questions. What is the level of acceptability of the dietary cookies using sun-dried, air-dried, oven-dried Goyabano leaves in terms of aroma, color, taste, and texture? What is the shelf life of the Goyabano leaves dietary cookies? Is there a significant difference between the three formulations and the three types of drying Goyabano leaves in making dietary cookies? Is there a significant difference between and among the three processes of drying Goyabano leaves? The experiment used a completely randomized design with three treatments and three replications per treatment. The sensory evaluation of the product was conducted using the 7-point hedonic scale. 10 housewives, 10 college students, and 10 faculty members from ASIS main campus in Lagangilang Abra served as the study's evaluators. The procedure in making Goyabano leaves dietary cookies is as follows. First, combine flour, baking powder, and baking soda together in a bowl. Beat the butter and sugar until smooth in a large bowl. Beat the egg and vanilla extract into the butter, and slowly combine the dry ingredients into the batter mixture. Add the powdered Goyabano leaves. Place tablespoon dough drops on a pre-greased cooking sheet. Bake for 8 to 10 minutes or until golden brown and pack and label the cookies. For the results and discussion, the amount of Goyabano leaves in each type of drying varies as to aroma in each treatment. However, among the treatments, treatment A with 1/4 cup amount of Goyabano leaves noted the best amount of concentration. Comparing the three types of drying method, sun drying reflected the most favorable method as aroma. This means that sun drying removes gradually the undesirable odor of the Goyabano leaves exposed directly from the heat of the sun as compared to the air and oven dry, which uses extreme drying time. Air dry reflected the most acceptable cookies when compared to the sun-dried and oven-dried Goyabano as an ingredient in the making of Goyabano dietary cookies. This may be due to the presence of preserved essential oils in the dried Goyabano leaves as an ingredient in the production of dietary cookies as compared to the oven and sun-dry using heat in the drying process. Air drying gave the highest overall mean in terms of color acceptability. Oven drying noted the least color acceptability. This means that air drying preserves the green pigment of the Goyabano leaves powder, which gives an attractive color to the panel of evaluators as compared to the sun and oven dried Goyabano leaves powder that changes the color of the Goyabano leaves when heat is applied. As to the texture, air drying reflected the most acceptable cookies. Treatment B noted the highest mean rating comparing the texture of the drying method. Air drying gave the highest mean rating, which means that air drying is the most recommended method for drying Goyabano leaves. As seen on the table, the three methods were excellent, but air-dried method reflected the highest mean rating comparing to the other methods, sun-dried and oven-dried respectively. The shelf life of the developed Goyabano leaves dietary cookies is stated with treatment B, air-dried as the most accepted formulation. The presence of odor, different taste, and presence of mold appears on the 60th day. Further, the absence of preservative on the Goyabano leaves cookies contribute to its spoilage as compared to the commercial cookies that can extend its shelf life to years. Table 2 answers problem number 3, the significant difference between the treatment and the types of Goyabano leaves drying. As shown in the table, there exists a significant difference among the treatment and the different methods of Goyabano leaves, except on the texture of the produced dietary cookies at 0.05 level of significance. This may be due to the change or damage of the essential oil components that is stored in the surface of the leaves, which adds to its aroma, flavor, and color. Upon drying, the retention of essential oils in the dried leaves depends on the integrity of the oil glands in the dried product when subjected to the three different processes of drying in this study. Table 3 answers problem number 4, the significant difference between and among the three processes of drying Goyabano leaves. As gleaned in the table, there is a significant difference between and among the three processes of drying the Goyabano leaves, except on sun drying. This means that drying can cause a change chemical composition and the preservation of the green color in the Goyaban leaves, which further affects aroma, taste, color, and texture in the production of dietary cookies. For the findings, as the sensory rating given by the evaluators, the three treatments used in making Goyabano leaves cookies show the highly significant as to aroma, color, taste, and texture. As to acceptability of the products, the three different treatments used in Goyabano leaves cookies, air-dried is the most preferred by the evaluators. Longest storability was observed in the Goyabano leaves cookies for 60 days. After 60 days, molds are seen in the cookies. For the conclusions, among the three types of drying in making Goyabano cookies, air-dried is the most preferred by the evaluators. The absence of the preservative on the Goyabano leaves cookies contribute to its spoilage as compared to the commercial cookies that can extend its shelf life to years. There is a highly significant difference on the sensory rating between the varying amounts of different treatments in Goyabano leaves powder. This may be due to the change or damage of the essential oil components that is stored in the surface of the leaves, which adds to its aroma, flavor, and color. Sun drying can cause a change chemical composition and the preservation of the green color in Goyabano leaves, which further affects aroma, taste, color, and texture in the production of dietary cookies. For the recommendations, since Goyabano has been known for its health benefits, the researchers are recommending a wide use of Goyabano leaves as cookies. More Goyabano must be propagated to have a sufficient supply of leaves to be used in the production of dietary cookies. College of Teacher Education must extend this technology to the community for adoption. Parallel studies should be undertaken for further development of this study. Here are our references. Thank you so much and stay safe always.
Thank you, uh, Ma'am Bershiba Elaktawan, for sharing with us your research paper that the acceptability of Guyabana leaves as alternative dietary cookies showed a uh, accept- uh, highly significant that can share in our communities as a livelihood. So we have just heard from our first five presenter various topics and researches on organic, on agriculture. Our presenter are now ready to answer some queries which you may have relative to their researches. May I
Good
ask
day, everyone.
if there's any question from the chat box or live? Anyone? Any question? Any question, please? So, okay. So, we have here a written question for the first presenter, Dr. Elhera. Are you still in the room, ma'am? Hello, ma'am. Good morning. Dr. Elhera. So she's not in the room right now. Okay. So another question from our panelist here, to our fourth presenter, Miss Dong Tan Mai.
Yes, I'm
Ma'am,
here.
okay, okay. We have here a question. Is the foreign direct investment is good in every country? And how does FDI affects our community farming family?
In Vietnam,
Yes, yes, ma'am.